Okay, let's try again. Good afternoon, and hello everyone. So this is my this is my live broadcast today, and today's topic is all about how to manage this whole food thing with your kids and how to get your kids to choose healthy foods and stop this whole food wars, that food wars that I call it. I had some logistical issues here today, but if you are joining me, please let me know that you're watching live, and if you are catching this on replay, then please hashtag replay and let me know if you have any questions. Right, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Evelina, and I am a mindset and wellness coach, holistic nutritionist, and I love talking about all things wellness, mindset, and especially as mindset relates to wellness and health. And I'm also a mom, and actually my daughter, who is now a teenager, was the reason, I would say, that got me into the world of health and nutrition and all things healthy. So let me just check the technical things I usually like to see, that I see myself, that I'm actually live on the right page. Okay, so I am. This is all good stuff. Okay, so really today I wanted to talk about kids and how to manage this whole thing with kids. And why I know about this, I have 13 and a half years of experience of dealing with a child who has not necessarily been the easiest one. And also, so I'll tell you a little bit about the journey with my daughter and how I managed it, and how we do it now. And now that she's a teenager, and things are changing all the time as it comes to food and preferences and tastes, and being a nutritionist and being in that field for that many years now, that obviously I have a bit of a pressure and expectations from me when I'm out with people, and things like that. So to tell you a bit how this whole started, as I told you, I started in my interest in nutrition started when she was born. As I was weaning her from breast milk, and it was a very interesting journey. So I took all full on, kind of like I went full on with everything perfect, and I'm recovering perfectionist. By that time I was like, it has to be either perfect or not at all. So it's pretty hardcore. I've changed all of I cleaned out the pantry in our house and everything. It was just like we started eating completely different, in a different way. And mind you, before that I had zero idea about nutrition and health. I grew up in Ukraine, and my upbringing was nothing but it was just as I said, the previous generations had two definitions for food. It's either tastes good, it doesn't taste good. There was no such thing as, what's healthy, what's not healthy. Anyhow, it's not about that. I can talk about this whole thing another time. So as I was bringing on food, and I started as I was weaning her from milk to solids, and she was a super healthy baby. I was like, the broccoli and the vegetables and all of this. And I remember people commenting, oh my God, she's like barely can talk, and she was asking for broccoli and things like that. So that was good, because I was in full control of what she was eating, and I was so eager to learn so much about nutrition that it was kind of like just happening, and it was good. But as the child is growing, and as she was, when she started attending birthday parties and things like that, obviously the pizzas, the ice cream, the cakes, all of those things came in. Now even though she started a bit later to be introduced to those foods, obviously that happened, life happened. And of course, there's a physiological dependency that an addiction actually to carbohydrates, especially simple carbohydrates and sugars. And of course, that very quickly impacts your body. So then the preferences started changing slowly. And then as she was growing, and I was losing a bit control in terms of what I was feeding her every day and every meal. Now we also went through divorce with her father, and then the two different households, and it's not necessarily always the same. So and then obviously she eats different things in different places. And then there's my mom, who now lives here also in Canada, and she has a whole different understanding and perception of what needs to be, what we need to be eating. So it's like a whole other world. So what I'm saying is that I know it's not just like I have it easy, and I have it, one household, and I can completely control, and she's like a super healthy child. She's a healthy child, but is she eating the way I would like her to be eating? Probably not entirely. And certainly I don't have control when she's out and when she's at different houses. So having said that, how do we manage that? And how do we go from being constantly stressed about food and what to eat, how to get them to eat healthy foods, and God forbid they're eating something not healthy, and being that food police that the child is actually scared of, and having the constant food wars. And I know, because I have been there, and with my good intentions and desire of having her to eat well and be healthy, I probably overdid it many times and probably caused more stress than benefits to our family. And I know certainly, when even learning from my own experiences, when I was feeding her, when I was breastfeeding her, and it wasn't always easy for me. I had some issues with that, so I was stressing. Sometimes the stress just was way too much, and thinking back, I would have probably been better just lowering my own expectations and just easing, so that everybody's actually happy and less stressed. So now we are here today, and we're facing those challenges pretty much daily now that especially as she's a teenager, and I have to say, seeing what other kids in school are eating. Well, I'm not seeing that. I'm not there, but hearing from her what other kids are bringing in lunches, and seeing sometimes what she is asking to purchase. It's sometimes upsetting to me. Yes, I'm like, no, this is it's not good stuff. So back to the question of how do we manage it, and from what I've learned, what are the suggestions on how you can actually make it easy for yourself and your children, and at the same time have them choose healthy foods. And I think this is where really, when I realized, when giving her the power to make those decisions was a game changer. So I definitely think that being at war with food is not helpful, is not it's not conducive. It's as they're growing and as they become young adults, and then they go out of the house, and we cannot always be there, we cannot always control it, we cannot make the decisions, but also trusting them. I think it's really important to show them that we trust them to make the right decisions for them, and we don't always need to be there. But also, I don't want her, and I don't advocate for parents to be so strict that children are actually afraid of them, or afraid and have to hide foods in their bedroom or under the bed, and develop all those different challenges with foods. And potentially, especially for girls, it's very common to have food disorders as they go into teenagehood and young adulthood, and that's something that is definitely if I can avoid, and I can do all my best to try to avoid that, of course, that's my goal. So there are a couple of things that have worked, and I truly believe that if that's something that you can try and implement and see how it works for you, and I'd love to hear if those suggestions resonate and make sense. So one of the things, and it's really kind of going back to basics on all the things that we're doing in our life, is lead by example. If you want your child to have more vegetables, if you want them to have less empty calories or just processed foods, then first of all, don't purchase those and don't have them at home. Second of all, lead by example. Show them that you're having vegetables with every meal. Show them that you're not reaching out for food when you feel upset. And I will actually address the whole emotional part of the food and food and emotions in a bit. But in terms of the actual eating, show them how you want to be. Now, you can only work on yourself, right? You can suggest them, you can suggest things, you can show, but you cannot make them eat the food even when they're babies, right? And we know, if you had a child, if you had a baby, the babies don't want something that you can't really make them. It's going to be a misery for everyone. The babies are very in tune with their emotions and their desires. And if they had something that they want, they don't want it. They're not just gonna have it unless you're gonna be shoving it in their mouth with force. And I certainly don't recommend that. So show them by example, lead by example, eat well yourself, choose the foods. Now, pantry, as in terms of what is purchased in the house, for as long as I have control and I'm paying for it, then things that coming to my house, the one I decide that they're going to come into a house. If you want certain things and you like them, like M&Ms and Nutella and Cheerios, that's just an example of what my daughter likes. They're not getting into this house. And even it's not an option even for her to make money and buy those things. If she buys them and I can't control that, it's not coming into the house. And if it is coming to the house, my attitude towards it is like, I actually don't tolerate it. I don't like it. And she would have to put it somewhere where I don't see it. Now, for example, recently, we've been traveling a lot and she brought Honey Nut Cheerios actually from a different household. I don't even know. I think it was probably from my mom's, if I had to guess. Anyhow, it ended up in the pantry, and only recently, I think it was earlier this week, I saw an article from, now this is not something I would ever buy, but there was an article from Environmental Working Group that they found the residue, they found residue of, oh my God, the Monsanto pesticide in the Honey Nut Cheerios, specifically in the Honey Nut Cheerios. So that's proven to be carcinogenic ingredient. And I told her that. I showed her the article and told her, and then she went and put them in the garbage. So things like that happen and when navigate them. But I was very clear on not me taking them and putting them in the garbage, but actually showing her so she can make that decision herself. So lead by example. Do control what's coming into your house. It's in your control. You still, as a parent, you are responsible for what is being purchased, and you can control that. The second thing that I recommend, that we have this agreement, and I also recommend it to the clients, even adults. Don't worry so much about what you eat. Worry about what you don't eat. But what I mean by that is that if you had this chocolate or you had whatever the cookies or a different, by your standards, not the best foods by your standards, then have extra vegetables to balance it out. So always think about it. It's not so much, okay, I ate that bad food. Okay, fine, whatever. But what didn't you eat today? Did you eat your rainbow vegetables? Did you have a chance to put dark leafy greens in your foods? Or so then make sure you supplement with those things, whether it's in whole food supplement or a smoothie or whatever you can find, or a big salad, or somewhere like add vegetables. So don't worry about what you had in terms of not so good foods, but worry about like, how did I balance it? So with Naomi, for example, she knows that for every not so good things, for example, or for every sweet or a chocolate or cookie, eat extra vegetable. Does it always work? Not necessarily, but the goal is there, the intention is there, and she does know that. Now, for example, when she actually feels now, and we talk about this all the time, like how if food impacts your mood and ability to concentrate on how you feel, and as they're going through puberty, hormones, and all of that stuff. And she would, if she has a couple of days of really not so great foods, or she's like loading on all those processed stuff, then she would feel, and it's like, I want to start eating more vegetables. And I'm glad to hear that, because like there's an understanding, but this is something that goes through the process, and you have to remind them, or you feeling tired, or feeling, did you have your vegetables today? And again, not focusing about like the guilt of like, oh, you're such a bad child, what did you eat, that all those bad foods, but like, let's include more vegetables in that. You want that cookie? Great. Have 2 cucumbers and 5 carrots. I mean, I'm just giving an example, carrots or whatever, peppers, whatever vegetables that they do like. And that's important, to give them vegetables that they do like. So give an array and give a variety of vegetables, and try to include more vegetables in your daily intake. And I find that we mostly eat the same vegetables here and there, but if you can experiment, and if you want some more ideas as to how to include more vegetables, make sure you get on my email list. I send a healthy recipe every week, and it's completely free. So just, get on that, and you can always unsubscribe. I'll leave the link in the comments below. So Include more vegetables, get them to, suggest it's available, make that available. There are so many times when I would ask, like, would you like some whatever X, Y, Z? And she's like, no, but if it's there in front of them on a table, they would eat it. So it goes back to my point number one, lead by example. Make sure you yourself eating vegetables and eating healthy foods and including those vegetables in your, and I focus on vegetables specifically, not so much the fruits, because I think fresh fruits is certainly healthy and great. Most people are much easier and open to eating more fruits and vegetables. So I'm really specifically focusing on eating more vegetables, because fruits will come in and it's much easier to have a couple of grapes than to eat a broccoli, right? So that, and the third thing, which is I find probably the most impactful, is to explain to them and give them the power to decide. So if there is something they want to eat, and or they want to choose the food that only, leaning towards whatever chocolates, I'm hungry, I want chocolate, or I want a bagel with cream cheese, or whatever it may be, then explain to them what it does, explain to them why it's good or why it's not so good, and then leave them the power to decide and say, I trust you to make the best decision for you. I trust that you're going to make that call, because this is your body. At the end of the day, you are the one that decides what to put in your body. And I think that's many times when I started actually doing that before food, I started doing it with clothing. And it was really surprising how well it worked, when there was so many arguments of like, you should wear this because it's winter and you put on a hat and scarf. And when I kind of, obviously I wouldn't let the child go, when it's too cold with, wearing shorts, and not that she would. But it started from small things which were not food, but then it transitioned into food and said, like, you know what, this is not really great. This is what it does. And if you don't know what it does, doesn't matter, but it can impact, you can say it's going to impact your health. It's going to lower your immune system. It's going to, potentially, get you moody or whatever. It's just really empty calories. And said, but you know what? This is your body, and this is you have the power of decision of what you put into your body. But I trust that you're gonna make the right call. Leaving that in leaving the ball in their court, I think is most significant and most impactful thing that can work for them to actually then. It's not that you're forcing them. It's not you who told them. It's not somebody you told them what to do. It's up to them. And in that case, when the person has the power and feel empowered to make their own decisions, you'll be surprised that those decisions will often surprise you in a good way. And those are my tips for today. So if you are catching this video, please let me know what you think, if those resonate, and I would love to hear your feedback. Otherwise, this is Thursday. I'm back in Canada, and I wish you a wonderful weekend and great rest of the day, and I will catch you next week. I will be doing this weekly on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye for now.